This basement was built by a novice DIYer, and each week you get to learn about the challenges he faced along the way. This episode is packed with tips you just won't hear from the experts, because they underestimate how clueless a DIYer can be about this stuff. I have literally learned everything I'm doing to finish my basement from expert videos, but I still ran into a bunch of challenges and problems simply because I was never told about them. On the other hand, their guidance in episode 2 on critical subfloor decisions helped me decide to put OSB on top of insulation on top of a vapor barrier, as you see here. In any case, I'll be providing links to some great how-to videos as always, but I'll also be sharing the tips they just can't tell you. Admittedly, some tips will be simple, and you'd figure them out eventually, such as how much easier it is just to slide your hammer along the foam insulation instead of swinging it. Trust me, there are some much bigger issues this video will help you avoid too. Starting with this one.
So I'm about to start, and I was like, okay, do I do this side, do I do that side? And I realized I fell into one of my first problems. I got a tongue and groove edge here, going all along here, which totally makes sense. But I also have this here that I'm running this way, and there's a tongue and groove thing right here. So now I have two tongues from two different sides. So that kind of sucks. So now I got to figure out what to do about that. So this is something for you to not run into. So hopefully when you start planning, if it's a big area like this, don't just do separate areas without figuring out how they're going to connect with the tongue and groove, because otherwise you'll run into the problem that I'm having right now.
Let me tell you, this is not something you'll find a video about on YouTube. The best thing to do would be to redo the smaller section, but I already screwed too many boards down. Then I realized that the tongue and groove isn't as critical for my approach because it's not a floating subfloor. I decided the best solution for me is to cut off the tongue on one of the sides and let the screws hold the boards in place and keep things level.
There's a lip over here. There. Not going in. It's raised up a little here.
Sometimes the boards won't be perfectly flat and the groove and tongue will have trouble aligning. Be sure to have a scrap piece of board and something with a little weight nearby. Just not too heavy, otherwise it'll be harder to push in.
There. Fine. Caught it. I'm going to hammer drill. Then my wife is going to help again. She countersunk some stuff before and did the gun of the silicone as I did follow-up stuff. So we're going to do that back and forth once again.
So just a quick reminder, the steps for securing the subfloor are to SDS drill the hole, countersink the hole, vacuum out the hole, put silicone caulk in the hole, and use an impact driver to screw it all down. It's a brutally tedious process that can definitely go by faster with a little help from others.
So you recall me mentioning, made the big error having grooves coming from both sides, tongues and grooves. So these are tongues, but these are tongues. So what I'm going to do is I brought my extra piece right here and laid it on top, and I have my Dremel. And what I'm going to do is Dremel the tongue off of this side so that we keep it here, but not here, so that this can be flush, or at least more flush. Okay. There you can see.
I have no idea why I got this Dremel, but let me tell you, it is the hardest tool to control. The board I put on top helps act like a guide, so I don't really fuck something up. The most important thing to know about using a Dremel is that you move it with the direction that it rotates. You'll learn that pretty quickly if you get it wrong, just like I did. But depending upon what you're cutting, I could see it get pretty dangerous.
Didn't kill anyone. And basically took off the tongue. Very, very magical. Excellent. Definitely get yourself a couple pair of goggles or glasses because you're going to leave them all over the place. It's kind of like a pen. So I'm going to splurge on probably 2 more sets.
You will undoubtedly lose or misplace all of these things at some point. Be sure to buy in bulk.
Hey, how are you? I'm really starting to feel it. Been doing a bit every night, and this stuff's starting to get me after the weekend. My goal is to get all this covered tonight. It's getting caught because it's already in the groove. So now it's in there. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to bring a piece out here. What I think I'm going to do is bring a piece out, line it up, mark where the angle and the cuts need to happen, but then maybe use this to actually guide, to trace where the actual degrees. That's going to be my game plan.
As I watched the previous clip, I realized I have no idea what I was trying to explain, but the key lesson you should get out of it is to talk to yourself. I found that's the best way to overcome problems you haven't faced before.
Up against the back and okay, we're going for 2 correctly cut pieces in a row. The excitement is palpable. Oh yeah. I gotta figure out the angle here. So that's gonna be the bear here. Okay. So it turns out I was saving up all the mistakes measuring on those twos for this one board. So I have now used a circular saw on it 3 times, and I'm about to use my rotary drill the second time because I can't get it right. So I must have mismeasured something wrong an inch one way or the other. So yeah, all the time savings I had on these two, it's blown to shit.
I kept some basement walls that were put up when we first built the house because they were holding up some walls around the stairwell, but I highly recommend taking down as many as possible. They're not really made well, and most of mine weren't particularly square. Most importantly, they were a major pain in the ass to work around.
This, get it into place, roll it down.
Don't do this. I was just too fucking aggravated with this board, but this could have gone really wrong and broken the board. Sometimes you just gotta take a deep breath before you continue.
Okay, that worked. Just a couple spots where the groove got crud.
Before you attempt to install anything that's tongue and grooved, make sure you check the grooves. Sometimes they get damaged, sometimes there's just stuff stuck in them. You'll want to clear it out before you spend 20 minutes trying to install it.
Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Groove. Not too bad. That worked. Okay, so I mentioned at the beginning of today that my goal is to get this done, but I don't feel like it. I know myself, I'm just going to get sloppier if I keep at it. So I guess that's my lesson for today. If you really just don't feel like it, don't feel like you have to set yourself a goal for the day that you could finish, but you're just going to get sloppy a little